Ever ignored someone's message just because you could? That little thrill, that sweet silence, that dopamine hit when you see typing and think, nope. Congratulations. You, my friend, are flirting with power. And Machiavelli would be so proud. Now, sure, your grandma might say ghosting is rude. But your grandma also thinks texting back in under 2 minutes makes you polite, not desperate. Here is the truth no one dares to say out loud. Ghosting is not just a rude exit. It's a strategic retreat. A power move in the battlefield of attention. And today, we're taking it from petty to professional. This isn't some TikTok therapy session on communicating your feelings. No, this is a masterclass in vanishing with purpose, holding the upper hand and making your silence louder than their paragraph. And who better to guide us than Niccolò Machiavelli, a man who didn't text, didn't ghost, and still managed to manipulate an entire continent by just writing a book. He didn't say, "Be kind." He said, "Be feared." If you can't be both. And let's face it, being feared is way more efficient than being liked. Less small talk, more throne. So if you've ever wanted to, leave someone on read and have them write poetry about it. Regain control in a conversation without saying a word, or disappear so powerfully they feel like you dumped them, even if they never met you. Then sit back, mute the group chat, and let's walk through how to ghost like a king, return like a myth, and get what you want without ever raising your voice. You're not being cold, you're being calculated. And by the end of this video, you won't just understand power, you'll be the threat. If you don't know Machiavelli yet, don't worry. He's the reason your boss smiles while slowly ruining your life. Born in 1469 in Florence, Niccolò Machiavelli was a political thinker, writer, and the kind of guy who'd ghost you in the middle of a war, then blame you for making him do it. He lived during the Renaissance, a time of art, betrayal, backstabbing, and really dramatic curtains. Now, Machiavelli didn't invent scheming. He just made it sexy. His most famous book, The Prince, is like a self-help guide for people who want to rule the world without apologizing for it. You know those inspirational quotes people post online? Yeah, Machiavelli's were more like, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." Translation: stop trying to be liked by everyone. Be the kind of person they're scared to ignore. The ends justify the means. AKA, if the result is good, who cares how many people you had to ghost, lie to, or trample over? Men are so simple and so much inclined to obey immediate needs that a deceiver will never lack victims. Which basically means most people are walking buttons waiting to be pushed. This man would have dominated Tinder, LinkedIn, and group chats without ever sending a follow-up text. Why? Because he understood something most people still don't. Power isn't about being the loudest. It's about being the one they can't stop watching. Machiavelli saw politics as a chessboard, and most people? Pawns begging to be played. He didn't believe in honesty unless it helped you win. He didn't believe in loyalty unless it came with leverage. And he certainly didn't believe in giving people closure just to be nice. He believed in strategy, in illusion, in winning. And before you think, "Wow, that's so toxic," let's get real. You've been ghosted. You've seen people lie with a smile. You've felt the cold shoulder that made you question your whole personality. That wasn't an accident. That was modern Machiavellianism in action. So why do we study this guy? Because while everyone else is still arguing about who texted who first, Machiavelli already owns the chat group. He teaches us the golden rule of power. If you can't control people, control the story. And sometimes the most powerful story you can tell is the one they have to make up in your absence. Coming up next, the weaponized silence we call ghosting and why it hurts so good. Let's face it, nothing drives a person more insane than being ignored. You could punch someone in the face and they'd get over it faster than if you left them on, seen, for 3 days after they sent hey. Ghosting, that delicious, deadly silence, is more than ignoring someone. It's psychological warfare in passive-aggressive packaging. And Machiavelli? He would have weaponized it like a dagger dipped in existential crisis. So, why does ghosting work so well? Because the human brain hates open loops. It wants answers, explanations, emotional closure wrapped in a warm TED Talk. But when you ghost someone, you slam the door without even saying goodbye. And that creates the most painful thing of all: uncertainty. Here's what ghosting does on a psychological level. 1. It hijacks the mind the moment you stop replying. The other person doesn't just feel rejected. They become obsessed. They start analyzing everything they said. Was it something I said? Did they lose interest? Are they dead? Nope. You're just watching YouTube and eating cereal. But they don't know that. And that's the point. 2. It shifts the power. Before ghosting, the two of you are equals. After ghosting, you're the prize. They're the contestant on a rigged game show where the host never comes back from commercial. You stop being predictable. And in power dynamics, the unpredictable one always wins. 3. It creates mystery. When you're silent, they project. They invent stories. Maybe you're busy. Maybe you're mysterious. Maybe you joined a cult. They don't know. So their brain fills in the blanks, often in your favor. Why? Because humans fear the unknown more than the truth. And ghosting turns you into a myth. 4. It builds demand basic economics. Scarcity increases value. If you're always available, you're a tap water personality. But if you disappear like a comet, suddenly you're a rare cosmic event worth waiting for. Ghosting says, I'm not desperate. I'm desirable. It whispers, if you want my attention, earn it. Now, here's the twist. Ghosting isn't always evil. It's not always petty. Sometimes it's protective. Sometimes it's strategic. Sometimes it's the only way to exit a conversation that refuses to die. Let's break it down. Are they draining your energy? Ghost. Are they asking too many wids and offering zero depth? Ghost. Did they say, let's be friends after wasting your time for 6 months? Absolutely ghost. But like any power tool, ghosting can backfire if you misuse it. If you ghost the wrong person, you don't look powerful. You look flaky. If you ghost everyone, you become forgettable instead of legendary. That's why Machiavelli would advise, use silence not as an escape, but as a signal. A signal that you're not available to everyone. A signal that you're not easy to reach, easy to read, or easy to mess with. Because real power, it whispers. It pauses. It watches. And sometimes, it vanishes. Coming up next, when should you actually ghost someone? And when does silence go from savage to just sad? Okay, so ghosting is powerful. But let's be real. It's not a universal solution. You can't just vanish on your landlord, your boss, or your dentist and expect world domination. That's not Machiavellian. That's just dumb. So how do you know when ghosting is a brilliant psychological move? And when it just makes you look like a socially awkward paperclip? Easy. Ghost with purpose, not with panic. Here are the right times to ghost, according to the unofficial Machiavellian handbook. 1. When they're emotionally draining you, like a cheap phone charger. Some people are emotional vampires. They never ask how you are. They just show up to dump trauma, gossip, or 97 voice notes, starting with, I know you're busy, but ghosting here isn't rude. It's self-care. You're not ignoring them. You're removing their Wi-Fi access to your soul. 2. When you've said everything and they're still not listening, you've explained your boundaries. You've repeated your point. You've sent links, memes, and even diagrams. And they're still talking to you like it's opposite day. Machiavelli says, don't explain again. Disappear. Let the echo chamber of their own nonsense be your final statement. 3. When they disrespect you once, then didn't mean it. The classic apology dash with a dash gaslight. I didn't mean it like that. I was just joking. You're too sensitive. Nope, you're just done. Ghosting here isn't passive. It's precision. You're removing access from someone who thinks your attention is a discount aisle. Be Machiavellian. Remove liabilities quickly and silently. 4. When you're becoming too available, harsh truth. Availability kills mystery. If you're replying in under 30 seconds and double texting like a golden retriever on espresso, you're not creating intrigue, you're offering customer service. Strategic ghosting resets the balance. You're not saying, I'm mad. You're saying, I'm valuable. Please hold. Bonus. It also makes your next message hit harder. Suddenly, your hey has emotional weight. Your meme? Historic. 5. When they think you owe them access, some people treat your time like it's a subscription they didn't pay for. They expect replies, validation, free therapy, and updates. Cut the signal. Let them wander in the desert of your silence. You're not Netflix. You're not obligated to be always on. But there are wrong times to ghost too. When you're in a professional setting, ghosting your boss isn't powerful. It's unemployment when you owe someone real closure. Some situations require an adult conversation. If you ghost a genuinely kind person who did nothing wrong, you're not being clever. You're being a coward with a Wi-Fi plan. When ghosting makes you look unstable, disappearing and reappearing every 5 minutes isn't power. That's a software bug. So, how do you know the difference? Ask yourself one question. Will ghosting make me look more rare, valuable, and untouchable? Or just emotionally unavailable and weird? If it's the first one, disappear. If it's the second, maybe use your words. Just this once. Coming up, how to ghost like a genius with style, elegance, and the kind of silence that makes people rethink their whole life. All right, you've made the decision to ghost. Good, smart, powerful. But now comes the tricky part. Not looking like a hot mess while doing it. Because ghosting badly? That's amateur hour. They know you're ignoring them. They can feel it. And suddenly, you go from mysterious enigma to emotionally constipated millennial who can't finish a conversation. We don't want that. What we want is the elegant vanish. The kind of silence that feels intentional. That makes them wonder if they messed up. If you're plotting something. If you're building an empire. So here's your ghosting toolkit, Machiavelli edition. 1. The distraction exit. You don't just go silent. You drop something just before vanishing. A cryptic quote. A photo with big things coming. A random link to a TED talk about emotional detachment. Then, poof, you disappear. Now they're left decoding your last message like it's the Da Vinci Code. Machiavelli would be proud. 2. The soft fade. This is for when you're dealing with someone nice, but just not worth the bandwidth. You don't disappear overnight. You fade like a ghost in a shampoo commercial. Respond slower and shorter. Use more lol as. Haha, that's crazy. Slowly become a less interesting version of yourself. Eventually, they lose interest. Boom. You've ghosted, and they think it was their idea. That, my friends, is high-level manipulation with a smile. 3. The power vanish after peak attention. This is the Beyoncé exit. You give them attention. You make them laugh. You sparkle. You engage. And just when they think they're winning your heart, gone. Vanished like a magician with boundary issues. Why does this work? Because people fall in love with potential, and then you rob them of it. Cruel? Maybe. Effective? Absolutely. 4. The stone-cold cutoff used when someone crosses the line. This is not a fade, not a slow burn. This is the do not pass go. Do not collect emotional closure method. They say something out of pocket, you stop replying. Forever. No warning, no note. Just the digital equivalent of turning your back mid-conversation and walking into fog. This one hits hard. It's your silent slap in the face. 10/10 Machiavelli. 5. Stay present. But silent. Here's the advanced move. You ghost them. But not fully. You still post. You still like things. You're online, thriving, living, just not replying to them. The message is clear. I didn't disappear. You did. This drives people absolutely nuts. And nothing says power like, I'm right here. I just don't care. Now, a few rules for maintaining your ghosting greatness. Don't panic and reply mid-ghost. That's like walking back into a room you just dramatically stormed out of. Don't announce your exit. I'm taking a break from people is not mysterious. It's a Facebook status from 2013. Don't stalk them. You lose all power the moment you accidentally like their 2019 beach pic. And finally, no guilt. Ghosting, when done with intention and precision, is not evil. It's efficient. You're not being rude. You're curating your energy like a limited edition launch. So, you ghosted. You vanished like a classy villain. No goodbye. No till. Just gone. And now, for whatever reason, curiosity, boredom, power move part 2. You want to come back. But hold up. You can't just waltz back into the group chat with a hey, like nothing happened. That's what amateurs do. A real Machiavellian return? It's smooth. It's calculated. It's so casual. It makes people feel like they're the ones who disappeared. Let's break it down. 1. Resurrect like nothing happened, no apology. No awkward sorry I've been Mia. Just act normal. Drop into their inbox like you left the conversation in suspense, not on accident. Examples. You'll never believe what just happened to me. So, random thought? I was thinking about that thing you said last time. This flips the script. Instead of you returning like a guilty ghost, you're continuing the epic saga they were lucky to be part of. 2. Blame it on life. The phrase, life's been crazy lately, is the Swiss Army knife of reappearances. It says everything and nothing. It's not specific, so they can't challenge it. It's not emotional, so you stay in control. And best of all, it sounds like you've been busy, important, mysterious. Examples. Caught up in a whirlwind. How are you? Had to go off the grid for a bit. You good? It keeps the spotlight on them, while you float back in like a demigod. 3. Return with value. Want to really nail the comeback. Don't come back empty-handed. Show up with something. A new idea, a joke, a wild story, a glowing selfie. Something that says, while I was gone, I was thriving. Machiavelli would say, never re-enter a room unless you've gained something by leaving it. So come back stronger, smarter, better dressed, or at least better lit. 4. Keep the vibe cool, don't over-explain. Don't overshare. And for the love of power, don't get emotional. Act like they were never the center of your universe. Even if you replayed their last message 34 times, powerful people don't beg. They broadcast. You're not rejoining the conversation. You're gracing it. 5. Don't stay long. Here's the real Machiavellian comeback tip. Don't hang around. Pop in. Stir the pot. Be charming. And then dip. Leave them wanting more. Because the best way to stay powerful is to remind them that you're never truly available. The comeback isn't about reconnecting. It's about reclaiming your position as the mysterious, unpredictable force that they never quite figured out. You didn't ghost them. You took a break from mediocrity, and now you're back. Briefly, beautifully, on your terms. Coming up next, ghosting is just one flavor of power play. Let's take this mindset into your whole life. Ghosting is just the beginning. It's the appetizer in a 7-course feast of manipulation, strategy, and subtle domination. And if you're only using it in your DMS ... you're leaving power on the table. Let's take that same ghosting energy, the mystique, the silence, the control, and apply it to real life. Because Machiavellian behavior doesn't belong in the comments section. It belongs everywhere. In friendships, be selective, not supportive. Here's a hard truth. Not all friends are friends. Some are just well-dressed distractions with decent Spotify playlists. You don't have to ghost everyone. Just be unavailable by design. Don't always say yes. Don't overshare your plans. Don't be the therapist friend unless you're getting paid. Be warm but unreadable. Let them guess what you're thinking. Let them wonder if they still have access to you. Spoiler, they don't. At work, visibility is optional. Value is not. In the workplace, ghosting becomes controlled scarcity. Be present in meetings, but don't overspeak. Be helpful, but always a little too busy for nonsense. Let others chase clarity while you sit back and sip control. You want to be the person who might help, could lead, possibly knows everything, but never proves it outright. Machiavellian translation: be the storm in a tailored suit. On social media, appear, disappear, repeat. Want people to obsess over your digital existence? Post rarely, post well, then vanish. Let your absence become part of your brand. Too many people post like they're afraid of being forgotten. You post like you're the one doing the forgetting. In dating, be the plot twist, don't just ghost. Haunt, date like a limited edition release. Show up confident. Disappear at peak interest. Reappear when they've just started to forget your name, and do it better than last time. Your presence should feel like a movie trailer, intriguing, short, and leaving them begging for more. So how do you take dusty old Renaissance power plays and make them work in the age of Wi-Fi? Work from home and way too many group chats? Simple. You update the costume, not the character. Machiavelli's rules still apply. You just need to swap the sword for a smartphone and the throne for a strong LinkedIn profile. Here's how to rule 2025 the Machiavellian way. Rule number 1. Appear open. Be closed. Look friendly. Smile. Post cute things. But let no one know your next move. Your coworker asks if you're applying for that promotion. Smile and say, "Oh, I'm just focusing on learning right now." Meanwhile, you're polishing your resume like it's a murder weapon. People trust transparency. So ... pretend you're transparent. Rule number 2. Watch more than you talk. In every room, online or off, there are 2 kinds of people. The ones who speak to be heard, and the ones who speak to influence. Guess which one Machiavelli liked? Observe everything. Take notes. Let others overshare, while you nod mysteriously like you're 3 steps ahead, because you are. Rule number 3. Master the art of the mask. In 2025, everyone's faking something. You might as well do it better. Be the reliable employee. Be the supportive friend. Be the sweet neighbor. And behind it all, be calculating. Be intentional. Be planning your rise like it's a chess game and you're already bored of winning. Remember, masks are not lies. They're tools. Rule number 4. Stay slightly out of reach. Never be too easy to contact. Too eager to help. They'll value you less every time. Whether it's texts, you're not ignoring them. You're training them. Modern power isn't about domination. It's about frictionless influence. You don't force people to follow you. You make them wonder what you're doing next. All right, it's time for a reality check. Ghosting can be iconic, mysterious, Machiavellian. It can also backfire faster than a badly written breakup text. Because when done poorly, or too often, ghosting doesn't scream power. It whispers, emotional maturity pending. So let's break down when ghosting becomes a terrible, no good, Machiavelli would roll in his grave idea. 1. Ghosting someone who holds power over you. Look, if your boss emails you and you go full ghost mode, that's not strategy. That's unemployment. Same goes for landlords, teachers, clients, or anyone who can legally or financially ruin your day. Machiavelli wasn't about self-sabotage. He was about survival. Use silence carefully. This isn't a rom-com. It's a chess game. Don't ghost the queen when she still owns the board. 2. Ghosting out of panic, not purpose. You forgot to reply. Then it felt awkward, so you didn't reply again. Now it has been 2 weeks, and they've posted a quote about fake people. This isn't ghosting. This is anxiety in a trench coat. True Machiavellians don't ghost out of fear. They ghost with intention. If you disappear, make sure you meant it, not because you spiraled. 3. Ghosting someone who didn't deserve it. Listen, not everyone needs to be taught a lesson via silence. If someone was honest, kind, and emotionally available, and you ghosted them because you didn't feel like explaining yourself, that's not power. That's laziness. You didn't pull off a Machiavellian move. You just became the villain in someone's healing journey playlist. Ghosting isn't just about disappearing. It's about what they feel after you've left. Anyone can vanish, but a legend? A legend haunts. So how do you leave a mark so deep they still think about you when their phone buzzes at 2 a.m.? Easy. You don't just ghost, you exit like a myth. Here's how to go from unread message to unforgettable energy. 1. Leave them wanting more. Always leave just before they get comfortable, before they understand you, before they fully figure you out. The mystery you create in your absence? That is more powerful than anything you could be said in a "we need to talk" text. Machiavelli would say, let them hunger. You say, seen, no reply. 2. Freeze your last moment. Your final words matter. Make them cryptic, clever, or oddly deep. Send a meme that could be interpreted in 37 ways. Drop a one-liner like, it's funny how people change. Then, van-ish. That line will echo in their head like a Taylor Swift bridge for weeks. 3. Stay iconic in the background. You don't need to block them. Stay exactly where they can see you, but not touch you. Your stories? Flawless? Your posts? Strategic. You're not hiding. You're thriving in plain sight. They'll never say it, but you'll become the standard. The one that disappeared. The one they still wonder about. You didn't ghost them. You wrote yourself into their story in invisible ink. And now they'll read it forever. And there it is. You've now officially unlocked the dark arts of ghosting, power, and getting your way. No shouting, no scenes. Just strategic silence and an unnerving calm that says, I saw your message. I just chose not to answer. And that was the reply. Machiavelli would be slow clapping right now. Maybe sipping wine. Definitely side-eyeing everyone who still thinks communication is key. Look, we're not saying ghosting is always noble. We're not saying it'll get you into heaven. We're saying it works. Because sometimes the loudest power move is doing absolutely nothing. You don't beg. You don't chase. You vanish with elegance. You return like thunder. You control perception. You manage access. You let others drown in their overthinking while you swim laps in your peace. This isn't about being heartless. It's about being heard without speaking. It's about not letting people touch you unless they've earned the right. So the next time someone says, why'd you ghost them? Aren't you going to reply? Don't you feel bad? Just smile, tilt your head like a benevolent villain, and whisper, I'm Machiavellian, not messy, and walk away. No explanation, no closure, just presence turned absence. Now it's your move. Drop a comment below. Who did you ghost like a boss? Who ghosted you and made you question your entire personality? Be honest, be petty, be legendary. And don't forget to subscribe, or I will ghost you.